Okay, so I was asked what I was going to talk about today, and I chose sacred geometry because that was what I was going to do last time. Spirit decided something different. So this time I'm going to talk just a little bit about sacred geometry. That shouldn't be news to people, sacred geometry. I think people get scared just because they hear the word geometry, right? And it's like, oh, I hated math. But I hated math mostly, but I understood at some point that I was very good in algebra. And sometimes I didn't know how to go one, two, three, but I could go from the answer and get to get back. So there was a way to figure it out. And so I started doing this thing now with sacred geometry. And I have lots of books about it. One I couldn't find, and it is called Genesis, the first book of Revelation. That was Genesis. And that it talked about ancient or old places. And this one place is a lot more than this one. It is called Rennes-le-Château in France. And all the churches are built in geometric shapes, right? Geometric means circular, pyramidal, octagonal, all different kinds. And what they found was all the churches were built on top of old churches, So there is something going on I think we all should be aware of or do some research on, right? I'm going to start with a pyramid, right? Which we always know what it is, right? This is a pyramid. We've seen this all over. And we always say that, oh, that's one of the great wonders of the world. And then we leave it alone, right? Because we don't know who built it. Or we know who built it, they just don't tell us, right? And so, and just in researching on the pyramid alone, I was able to, and I'm not going to quote all these numbers, but I was able to find out that the circumference of the earth is built into the measurements of the pyramid. So they didn't just build it and dropped it on there, right? The distance from the earth to the moon is also calculated in those measurements of the pyramid, right? So there's something really deeper going on that we realize, right? From back in the day, I remember also that if you take a pyramid and you put a razor blade inside the pyramid structure, that it will not rust, right? They said it sharpened it. I didn't find that. I found that it didn't rust, right? So there's something going on with just the shape of the pyramid, right? So from there, the jump is it's some energetic thing going on with the pyramid, right? Something energetic going on that you have to be able to feel it then, okay? So what we do, in the backyard, we have a crystal pyramid, copper pyramid that we sit in. Because I understand that back in the day, Atlantean days, Lemurian days, Atlantis, Lemuria was older, that they had places you would go in and you would get, they call it rejuvenated. By just going in, there was no surgery to do anything. You just went in, and by just being in that energy, you were rejuvenated, right? Things you need to try out as well. So there's something energetic going on with just because it's a pyramid and it's in that shape, right? There's something going on. So that's geometry, right? And there's sacred geometry because it's very old. We say the pyramids are, I don't even know if we know how old they are, right? But the Egyptian civilization, 3,000, 4,000, however years back. And so now it has been found, and you can search this up online, there are also pyramids on the moon, right? So again, so now we're not talking something that's local, we're talking something that's universal. There's also a perspective that there are also ruins and pyramids on Mars. So it's just not a pyramid, right? Again, if you can't believe it, it's just not a pyramid, right? And you can research all this stuff out yourself. So that's something I would think we want to do some research on ourselves. Because again, when you go in and, everybody searches for like, who won the Oscars, right? But nobody searches for, hey, who built the pyramids? Or how long they were there, or what? So we want to throw that out there. This is also should be in your search, right? So that is pyramids, and there's so much to go on about this. And I passed this around. I just want to post this really quick so y'all can see what this is, right? And it has so many different, just from the energy of it. If you look at it, you should feel something from it, something that says, wow, like look at all this stuff. Some people put it down, and then some people need to go and say, okay, let me just break it down. I see lots of things in here. And again, you see right in the middle is a human form, right? And I think they call it like a 5-star, right? 1 point, 2 other points, 2 other points, right? And so that's important. Right in the middle of it, you can see the Star of David, right? We all know what that is. That is 2 interlocking pyramids, right? One looking down, one looking up, right? This is only a 2-dimensional shape, right? So the Star of David is from, the Jewish lore and religion and so forth. But to me, there's so much more than just that image. So this is the same image right here, right? Doesn't look the same, but from different perspective, you can see it. From this here, you can see the 1-dimensional shape, right? But if you really look, it's not 1-dimensional, it's 3-dimensional, right? And I'm going to pass this around as well. Just take a look at it. And so this is called a Merkaba, right? And the saying is that we are all encased in one of these things. And they say that's how we get around the universe. We understand that we are encased in this vehicle and we can go wherever we want. Right? Your body will stay here, but you can take your energy and go wherever you want. Right? And so that is, and then I also just found out that this also is like one of the basic shapes when I start talking about light. Right? Because we got a physical body, emotional body. We have a spiritual body, we got an etherical body, and then we also have a light body. And so the smallest particle is going to be something like this. And I watched this documentary about the super collider, and now they're finding out that all this stuff they're trying to see now. Hey, I do see that shape in there. So again, we don't know all this stuff, what it is. We just know, oh, this is some geometric shape that has a whole bunch of energy that does a whole lot of things. We just don't know all the things they do, right? So that is one of the, and I carry one of those with me all the time. Just be. You can get them anywhere. I think I got some I get online, some I get at the crystal store as well. But again, you want to search up and when you search these things, You want to search for what is the spiritual meaning of a Merkaba. What can it help me to do, and where's the origin of it, and all that. Right. So those are things you want to start searching up on. And there are lots of other different shapes. There's something called the Fibonacci sequence. Have you heard of that one? So what that is it's almost like how trees keep growing, keep expanding, but there's one shape that just keeps repeating, and it gets bigger, repeating, and it gets bigger, and it's the same energetic sequence, but it just keeps repeating and repeating and repeating until we have a big tree. That's why you see branches go here and there and there. It's just repeating that sequence, the Fibonacci sequence. That's something you need to look up as well, right? And then there's another thing called the Platonic solids, right? And all these are just fancy names for just all these geometric shapes, right? And so once I started doing all this work, then there's one shape that came into mind that encompasses every one of these designs. Too much papers. And it is the Metatronic symbol. We heard of that one before or not? You've seen it, you just don't know what it is. But what it is 13 circles all intertwined. Right? I have something here, or maybe not. Nope. Is it on here? Nope. But you can search this up. And it's called a flower of life as well. If you search a flower of life, you'll see that shape. And in that one shape is every shape you can imagine. It's that one shape, 13 interlocking circles, right? And that's called the Metatronic cube. And so what I did at home, just because it's energetic, I took the Metatronic symbol and I just traced out certain parts of it. Pyramids, the Merkaba, and I made images on our stairs, and you wouldn't be able to tell what they're from because they're just different images, but all came from that one image, right? That Metatron's cube, and we know that Metatron is quote unquote an angel, or to me, I rather say it is a being of higher consciousness, whatever you want to call it. But that is something that you need to at least read upon, right? And when I get up in this space, I forget all these names. So here's another, and I'll pass this around. This is just a geometric shape, but this shape is found all over the place, right? And so I'm going to pass that around, just get a feel for these things. And so when somebody comes to talk about sacred geometry, it shouldn't be something that you think, I have no idea what it is. We see it all the time. All churches almost have a steeple, almost with a pyramid on top, even though it has a cross. Right? I just think sometimes that the church's information is incomplete. This is me speaking. It's incomplete because we say, if you go into church, they'll do like this, right? To me, that's incomplete because you can go north, south, east, west, but nobody talks about up and down, right? So it should be something like this, right? So that we encompass everything. I'm not saying anything is wrong about just, north and south, east and west. I'm just saying there's much more to that shape, right? And so it's good to start searching and seeking out this information, because ultimately you are those shapes. Because there's a study on water. Okay, so this first study is, and this is lately I found this out, is that you could have a water and you could put some I think it is you put dirt in the water. And then if you add some sound to it, all the dirt starts forming certain geometric patterns. right? So almost it's like there's some hidden geometry going on, right? And so that's with water. And we know that the study of water, where I forgot the name of the person uh, who did the study on water, and water has, when you go into one of uh, the lowest particles, is a geometric form, right? And so geometry has energy. And again, what are we made up of? Lots of water. And so we already have all these geometric shapes. We're made of these things, right? So it's not like geometry's over there, I'm over here, right? I am geometry. You are geometry. You just don't know it. We were never taught that, which is fine, but we are that. So now we need to start searching it. And this is about this is my search is, how can I be better than I was, yesterday? Why am I here? What made me? That's that's been my only search. Right? How did I get here? Right? And with all that searching, then it comes all this sacred geometry, all this kind of stuff, all this energetic work, all because I started trying to figure out, why do I get mad, or why am I calm, or why did that person say something that put me off where I was a minute ago. And so all these things kept coming up because I kept asking. And again, once you ask, the answer is given right away. It's just that we ask and we say, well, I want it to come through that door, the corner pane, the top to the left. And we trying to tell spirit exactly how that works, and it doesn't work that way. You ask and it shows, and then it can show up in any form. Anyway, TV, television, somebody come up to you and tell you, a book comes on TV, you heard something, it's like, oh. So the answer always comes, right? It never not comes, because it's natural, or the law of attraction. You keep saying it comes, right? We just expect it to come this certain way, and we want to tell spirit, okay, this is how you're going to work in this little narrow vein. So sacred geometry, I think, is something we need to look at individually. Because I said this last time, if you and I look at the same thing, we're both going to get different perceptions of it. Almost like looking at this, right? That's one perspective, but the person looking over here only sees this. And is this other person wrong? No, it's just a different perspective. And that is about anything you think about, right? You're seeing it your way through your filter of all the stuff you ever were, ever will be, right? So that's why you can't judge anybody, because you can't get in their shoes. You can never get in their shoes. You can never know how they feel, right? Because they might bump their toe, and some people might cuss, and some people might be like, oh, okay, I'll never go down that street again. Just different perspective of all this stuff, but you have to figure out what it means to you as an individual, right? So sacred geometry, please don't be scared of it, because you are it. Again, there are people out there studying you as a human being. How do you live with 50% negativity around you all the time when I can only take 2%? Right? So there's something great and magnificent about us as human beings, and it has something to do with sacred geometry, right? How you were made, how we were made, how we got here, where we came from. When I started dealing with the pyramid, everybody was saying, oh, it's just a tomb, but nobody was finding the tomb. And then there are other books I found that said it was some type of machine, and it ran water through it. Just another perspective. Somebody else said it was an enlightenment where you go in and you get to realize, oh, I see everything. Right, like a connection to all that is almost. And that's just a pyramid. So all these shapes have something to do. Circles, that's why people do rituals in circles. Healing rituals, because the circle is a sacred design, right? The Taurus law, the egg, is one of the strongest shapes there is, even though it's an egg. That shape is one of the strongest shapes there is. That's sacred geometry, just that shape. And there's something about that shape that makes it strong. If you don't know what it is, then you need to go search and see what it is. And you'll get 15 different answers. And if you are sure and you're fair about what you're asking, the right one you'll feel the right one. You'll know the right one. You'll be like, you'll get this image. Like for me, sometimes happens when I'm reading, I get this chill and it's like, okay, Spirit is like, I'm right here. Okay, this is a good path to go. Not saying it happens to everybody, it just happens to me. That's how I know, okay, I'm on the right path. I get these chills, even if we're in a circle, right? And we're doing, meditation or what, I know because I get this feeling. It's like a chill that goes through my body. And so that's how I know, okay, this works for me. So you're going to have to figure out when you're reading it, it will hit you. You'll know, this sounds right. Or this is a load of stuff, right? And you'll know. And I have books, again, I always say this, I have books that I bought, and I started the first chapter, and I'll never look at it again because something just didn't feel right. And there's some that I pick them up, and I can't put them down until they're done. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they're done, 200 pages, whatever it is, right? And so for me, those books are the ones that are, they talk about now, right? Like I'm on video now, but somebody who didn't watch me right now, when they look at it tomorrow, it's going to be now, right? So things that make me excited are things that I can deal with now. And some of these books I have, when I go back and read them, I've read them 10 years ago. If I pick them up right now, it's like, wow, they're still relevant now, right? So that's how it works for me. So you have to figure out, some of this information, how it works for you. But again, the information is out there. It's been out there. It was never out there. We just weren't taught in school, at home, or, my mom didn't know about this stuff. My dad didn't know about this stuff. All they worried about was feeding us, clothing us, housing us. Understandable. But the information has been out there. So now, and nobody's going to come and lay it on you, right? You're not going to hear this stuff on mainstream media. Sorry to say, you're just not, because they don't want you to. Which is okay, but if you have this inkling, you need to go look it up. When I was coming up, that's why I got 1,000 books. Because when I was coming up, we didn't have an internet. We didn't have Google. Everybody wasn't putting all their stuff out there, right? Like I have a book, and this is all about sacred geometry, about the Golden Dawn, which was one of the secret societies where they knew all this stuff. They taught all this stuff, but you had to play a game to get in, right? Like, I don't know if it was hazing or whatever they call it, right? I was offered to join, and he says, okay, you can join, and this was the Masons. You can join. I was like, okay, cool, this sounds good. And then the next thing was, and this wasn't a question, this was just a statement. When we have meetings, you can't tell your wife where you're going or nothing about it, right? And that was like, no. Something just didn't seem right there, right? That's the way you do it, that's fine. Now, all that information is online, and you don't have to join a secret society, right? Lots of stuff I got. This book is called, and again, some of these books you don't even have to buy anymore, because the information is progressed and it's broken down. This one is called A Garden of Pomegranates. And this goes into lots of stuff about the Kabbalah, which is another ancient symbol, right? I'll just show it here really quick, right? And you guys can look at this here in a minute. And again, this is just symbology. It's a symbol, and it has a certain energy to it. And when you start doing research on it, you'll be able to feel it, right? Because everything can be felt. Like when I read these books and I'm into it, then I can feel the guy reading it. Like this page took him 10 tries to do, and I can see all the balled up paper on the ground or whatever. right? So there's energy that also goes with the words. I would say read between the lines, right? And so there's lots of books like this. I got lots more at home, right? Some I won't bring out, but some of them talk about magic. And really there's no such thing as magic. The magic they're talking about is you turning yourself into something divine, right? Like they're turning lead into gold. You're turning yourself, a human being, you're turning on your divinity. That's what, but they call it magic so you wouldn't look at it. When people say magic, you don't want to look at it. But you never see the magic. The guy with the magic doesn't tell you the tricks because it's not really magic, right? He's going to say, look at this hand, but he's doing something over here, right? So it's really not magic. He kind of understands, the way things work. If I move this like this, you're going to keep looking at this hand, and I'm going to take your purse out of, your wallet out of your purse. So it's not magic. I understand how things work. Your eyes are going to be caught to what's moving. So it's not really magic. So when you start looking at all these books and talk about magic, it's not really like you can do something to somebody, because you can't do anything to anybody at all, right? You can watch them and do something to yourself, but they can't do anything directly to you, right? So we were talking about voodoo the other night, and it's like it only works if you believe it. Because somebody says, I'm going to put a curse on you, and then you're going to be like, oh my God, you got a curse on me. That's not that person. That's you saying, this thing is going to work on me. And then it's not that person, but you are doing it to yourself. Right? If you come and tell me you're going to put some voodoo on me, I'm going to be like, cool, you go ahead. Because I understand that what you do comes back to you. What you do has nothing to do with me. I may be the catalyst. It has nothing to do with me. Right? When you look at somebody and you call them a name, that's nothing to do with them. That's to do with you directly. Right? So nobody can come and throw stuff on you. Nobody can enter into your space unless you start thinking about it and chewing on it, and boom, it's there. And it's not that person, right? It's you. I'd like to leave these little things so kids can understand, right? It's like, and I always have these little analogies. Thank you. And it's about the castle, the sand castle. Everybody has their own little box that you can build your castle in. I can't build in yours, and you can't build in mine. But I can have all these square walls in my castle, and you can have round walls and round doors, and I can go and look at your castle and like, okay, why don't I have round windows? It's not that they're making me do anything. I am just influenced by what I see over there, and I'm doing it in mine. And life is just like that. It's really that easy. Everybody thinks, oh, we need to, again, be a doctorate and all that. It's that easy. But we're not told that as we're going up. Okay, any questions come up while I'm standing here in this space? Nothing?
Do you know the name of the green one that you passed around?
I do not. I have it, and it goes, because there's so many of them, and my, Yvonne asked me this, my job is to, the wheel has already been built. I just need to go and do the research and bring it back and incorporate it into my stuff. But I'll find out what that is. But it's one of those shapes that are everywhere, right? And it has a certain energy. That's why I carry them with me, just for the energy of it. Again, at some point, we don't need the tools because we are the tool. We are the geometry, right? But this tool, we look at it, we work it out, and then it's like, okay, I don't need a ladder anymore. I'm up here, right? Okay. Anything else? Okay, and then, so some of these books I'm willing to have you look at them, but I want them back. Just because some books I used to read before. Anybody heard of Osho? Bhagwan Rajneesh? Did you hear about a guy that had 50 Cadillacs and all that? that's sad. That's how they set it up. But what he was doing was he was he was a yogi, right? And so he would have his information and he would give it out, and people would just offer him stuff. Here's my, and all these are all rich people. Here, I'm gonna donate these. So he never went out and asked for those things. Those things, were given to him, which you never hear about Osho. Fantastic information. Without him, I wouldn't be here right now. Right? Because some of that stuff he was writing, it was like, I wasn't getting drunk, but it was like, it was so different from what I was taught. It was like, wow, this is intriguing. And then it worked. It was about meditation and relaxing and letting go, and then letting go, and then letting go what you think about that person, the other person. Right? So Bhagwan Rajneesh. So there's lots of stuff out there about this. Right? So those are the people that got me to where I am today. Okay? Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much.